I'll call the public hearing from the Tangipahoa Parish Council to order. And the first item on the public hearing is public amusement event. Miss Lewis of Crown Riders Trail Ride Club, Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, at 25072 South River Road, Roseland, in District Number 1. And I think we have some folks that want to speak. Let's see. We got Jacob Schwabel. Jacob, you got the mic?
Good afternoon.
Hang on down.
Today we're talking about the ordinance that was passed by the parish council long before I came along. I've been employed with the sheriff's office for 23 years, and this policy was put in place long before that. We're talking about the events of what's called a trail ride, or as we call them, music events or public events. February 14th, 2023 of this year, Ms. Karen Brumfield contacted the sheriff's office and wished to host an event. Throughout the timeline and multiple dates, which I have and I can provide for you, she was contacted multiple times through our agency and attempted to contact our agency multiple times. She was given instructions as late as last year on how to retrieve I'm going to call it a permit for lack of a better word, to host such an event. As the conversation goes from February into March 7th, which is prior for the event, they've had multiple social media posts.
You tell me what you want.
Sure. Okay, yes, ma'am. They have had multiple social media posts advertising this event. This event hosted live music. This event hosted multiple ATVs. This event hosted multiple vendors, as well as charging in a nominal fee to get in of $20 per person. At the time of, March 11th, our deputies, along with code enforcement, went out multiple times throughout the day, advising Ms. Brumfield, as well as other members of the group, about not hosting this event. They didn't have the proper approval coming from the parish council and or the sheriff's office. That started at March 11th at 9:24 in the morning, and as it continued to about 4 o'clock, where there was, on estimates, well over 2,000 people. Now, where this event is hosted, there's one way in, one way out, and we talk about public safety. We received through the sheriff's office multiple phone calls from people living in the neighborhood talking about traffic jams, how people were parked on the double yellow line, multiple ATVs, which in order the sheriff's office actually stopped and conducted traffic stops on where people were leaving this event. It continued through 4 o'clock, even after being told they could not host this event. One of our deputies, which we have body camera footage and multiple events were recorded, asked how much it is to get in. They actually said it's $20, but for cops it's free. At somewhere around 5:20, that's an hour and a half after the sheriff's office has been there trying to close this event, you could not get into the event and you could not get out of the event. There's that many people there. One way in, one way out. We're talking about public safety. When we talk about law enforcement and our medical services, first responders, to try to get into this property and or try to get out in case an event happened. Now, this was a controlled leave, right? Sheriff's office there controlling, hey, I need you to leave calmly, this and that. We're not talking about if something heinous happened or something tragic happened and people are trying to get out as law enforcement and first responders are trying to get in. The sheriff's office stayed on scene until approximately 7:49 p.m. So from 4 o'clock to 7:49 p.m. to get the amount of people in cars off this one piece of property. Multiple arrests were conducted from the promoters, issued summons, but which are arrests. We, as the sheriff's office, do not oppose these events. We actually promote the events and we understand what these events bring to the community and the people. We just want it to be conducted correctly. We want the proper forms to be filled out. We want the property security assessment to be done. We do not want misrepresentation. Be honest. Tell us who's having these events. Tell us who's going to be upon the property. Tell us how many people you're going to be upon the property. And just follow the rules. That's what we're here for. I'll take any questions. We have multiple pictures of where this is. We have multiple body cameras to include the night where you can see the amount of people. I, for one, was on scene for several hours, and I can tell you just the amount of people leaving the event went from I-55 on 1048 through Quickway, which we had to shut down Quickway and move the people out their request because you couldn't move within Quickway, all the way to this property on South River Road, bumper to bumper. And then we were there for another 2 hours escorting people off. So that just tells you the amount of individuals that were on this property. But I'll take any questions and I'll show you anything you have.
Anybody want to see some of these pictures? Jill, you want to thumb through them? Just,
The pictures, there's some road pictures.
these are just a picture of the roads.
Yes, sir.
in and
These are
out.
roads.
Go ahead.
You can see that's the curve where people were called and said they were blocking the entrance. That's South River Road leading to the event.
I think it's in Mr. Forrest's district, I believe. I know it
Yes,
is.
sir.
For some reason.
That is correct.
It is in my district.
You know, we do have an ordinance on the books, okay? Now, we are trying to transition to, let's just say, an improved document.
Yes,
okay?
sir.
We're working on that, should be introduced tonight. So we're trying to work through these first two events and figure out how we're gonna handle this, but it's really up to the council. But what's key to this, I think, is what you just said, okay? What's the numbers you're gonna have at the event, okay? And realize, based on that, the sheriff's officer will do an assessment, and based on that assessment, the amount of security needs to be provided, okay? And that being the case, if you don't put the correct number, then that's where you can run into some issues. So you need to be sure that the number you say it's gonna be there is a good number.
Yes, sir.
But Mr. Forrest, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
This enlightens a few things or brings a few things to mind. If everything was followed to a T and we passed the new ordinance and everything's followed correctly, I don't think we have, or the Development and Regulations Committee has taken into account of where's the parking and how's people going to get in and out at this particular location? Would that be limited to the amount of acreage that they have or how much parking they have, or?
My recollection is this is 40 acres, but I've been reading a lot about this. I think that's what it is. I think.
Yes, sir. I believe it's a 50-acre piece of
50 acre?
parcel.
50
correct,
acre,
right?
okay.
But you're
It's a
telling me
50
people was parking on the road?
Just trying to get in.
Oh, so it's
Right,
not a
right.
parking issue, it's getting in
Well,
issue.
it is a public safety issue with cars. Yes, there were people leaving cars on side of the road. Yes, they were running four-wheelers and ATVs up the road. I do know that their newest flyer says no ATVs allowed. That's correct, right? That doesn't mean they're not showing up. That doesn't mean that they don't proceed and show up at this event. Individuals with that former equipment. Now it is. I do believe they'll probably handle and not let those vehicles unload and that type of thing. But yes, we know they're riding them from Roseland to this event. I've witnessed it personally. I live in Roseland. I see it. I see it every time. And they ride from from Roseland Incorporated and unincorporated Arcola to these events.
I'm sorry, I thought you just say it was a parking issue, but it's not parking, it's actually getting in line waiting to get there.
Correct, and that is one of the issues. Yes, sir.
Now, I think the new ordinance doesn't have a limit on numbers based on acreage. I know that.
Okay. Well, as long as there's ample parking, and obviously there is, it's just hard to get in.
Well, we as law enforcement and our medical service cannot get in here if something happened. We cannot. It's one way in, one way out. We cannot. It's that simple. It took us over 4 hours to get people out calmly. Not if, and we've seen the world today, what's happening with these active aggressors. And if something of this magnitude happens, we've had one a couple years ago with a section that had 2 exits, and it still took us hours to get people out. And so that's, for our standpoint, that's what we're worried about. We are the individuals having to respond to quell this violence or assist in medical, and it just safely cannot happen.
Question.
Mr. Joseph.
Mr. Joseph,
Yeah.
there you go.
Officer,
Yes, sir.
it starts off as a trail ride, is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's
right.
the name of it. Yes, sir.
Okay, so obviously something happens after when the ride ends, what happens?
I don't. The last event, there is no ride. They don't go upon the highway and ride and have this trail. It's just a
So do
music
people
event on a
congregate
piece of
after?
property.
They break up and go home, or they congregate, or what?
Sir?
Do they go home after the ride is over, or do they congregate and
After, I can tell you what happened after this.
what?
They went into St. Helena Parish and were removed from a business. They went into, and that's just people in general. I'm not speaking about these individuals here. I'm not. That's just participants upon that showed up. In Amy, they shut down stores and had to make people leave. Quickway in Arcola, business was disrupted from individuals leaving this event.
Okay.
Anyone else in the council? Comments, questions? Anyone?
No.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak on this item?
Thank you.
I have, I think, two other ones here. Let's see. Ms. Lewis, would you like to speak? Is Ms. Lewis here? Take that one.
Good afternoon.
Hello?
I'd just like to say that trail riding has been going on for a long time, and not everybody have a big ride when they have a trail ride. Some people have bigger rides, some people have smaller rides. But on my first ride that I had, we did not have a big crowd. And regarding to the liquor license thing, I wanted to talk about was to ask, why should we have to have a liquor license if no one is selling liquor on the premises?
I don't think it says that, if I remember reading what I read. Okay, it depends on, I think if you're charging, there's a couple of two or three different things that have to take place to do that, from what I remember reading.
No, I'm just saying, when I had spoke to Miss Allison, she was giving me the runaround. She had me to run to Hammond to the health department, the fire marshal. Then when I get down there and ask them about a permit, telling them what I needed for, they telling me is no such thing as a permit for no trail ride. Then I come back to Miss Allison and tell her. Then she tell me, don't worry about it, let her work on it, just work on a liquor license. But I called the liquor license people and talked to them, and they kept telling me that I have to get something from the sheriff department in order to get a liquor license. But I wasn't understanding why we have to have a liquor license if we're not gonna be selling liquor on the premises.
Well, whatever's written in the ordinance is what we need to follow. And
Okay.
what I'm hearing here is that you guys, I don't know if it was you or not who was handling this, knew a long time ago that we had requirements for this, and for some reason that didn't happen. So we got here at the last minute when you guys did not have the required paperwork, occupational license, whatever you want to call it. So that's where we got into this issue we have now. Now, again, we're trying to clean this up for the future, where it's going to be pretty plain and simple. There's going to be a paper you're going to have to fill out 1 through 12 and answer these questions. And based on those questions, then we will take that and we will send that to the proper authorities, being the sheriff's office, the different agencies. They will send that back to us, and all that would take place before you can have this public hearing.
Okay, because I had did everything to
Now-
Miss Allison and gave it to, finally gave it to Miss Jill.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I wasn't in the middle of all that, so I don't know all the
Okay.
details. So that's where we are. You know, we are trying to work through these first two. I think they're the one's on the 29th, the other one is
22nd.
Okay, and it's really up to the council on how they want to manage this, okay? They can deny it, they can approve it based on certain circumstances that take place between now and then, and hopefully that'll get us through those two events, and then we'll get our ordinance in place, which we have one now, but we're changing it just to make it much more clear
Okay.
for everybody, okay?
Okay,
So, anyway, that's kind of where we are.
all right.
Anyone else like to speak on this one?
So David?
Yes, sir.
Are we finished with the ordinance?
It's on tonight's agenda for the new ordinance is on tonight's agenda for introduction.
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
yes, sir.
So that's the one we're talking about.
So that's the one we're gonna use in the future, but we have these two events sitting here that,
Yeah, we don't meet
we're kinda
again.
in the middle
Yeah,
here, I guess
it'll
what
be
I'm saying.
Before they,
Okay.
okay, before we got final adoption.
Yes,
Okay,
so that's
thank
kinda where
Their
we're at.
ride is the 22nd, I believe. And
One's the
we don't
20
meet again until the 24th.
Yeah, one's the 22nd, one's the 29th.
Yeah, well, we got time for the 29th, but not the 22nd.
Is there any other comments on the April 22nd trail ride?
Yeah, let me ask one more question.
Yes, sir.
To the group, is there any way they can hold off until we meet again, David?
Well, the problem with the 22nd is I don't think they'd have time, in my opinion, okay? The
Can someone
29th,
answer that?
the 29th, maybe.
Oh, it's booked already? Okay. So the
Yeah.
answer is no.
Any other questions?
So they would have to follow the ordinance that we have now,
Yes,
not the one that we're gonna introduce tonight.
that is correct.
So have y'all had an opportunity to read that ordinance, that we currently have? No. I mean, so it'd be difficult for y'all to follow the rules if you don't know what they are.
No, I think code enforcement provided them a copy when they went there at the last one in March, was my understanding.
Did they?
Mr. David, if I remember
Sorry.
correctly, it was either that they were selling alcohol or charging an entry fee, that they still had to have the liquor license either way. Was
Yeah,
that not
one of the-
correct, Brad?
One of the two.
Even if they're giving the alcohol away, if they're charging an entry fee, they have to get the liquor license.
Right, I believe the way it's worded is if they're selling alcohol, if they're charging a fee, or if a fee is, some type of like donation is imposed at the door in order to get in. Because that's essentially the same as any other event, where you buy a ticket or, pay a
Right.
cover
There's a-
charge to go into a bar that has free drinks all night.
Right.
Any other questions, comments from anyone on the April 22nd?
I think somebody's got it.
Sir, have you filled out one of these? All right, but I'm gonna allow you to speak. Come forward, just give us your name and address. Your
Cedric
name and address,
Bromfield.
please, for the record.
Name and address?
Yes, sir, for the record.
Cedric Bromfield, 19338 Verbing Road, Kentwood.
Okay.
Okay, the event that, you guys are talking about was my event. Okay, and I just want to clarify because the reason why the event went on and continued because the confusion come from Allison and all of the people that we was trying to contact about the event. So when the day before, I didn't even go to work. The day before, I spoke with her, sitting right over there, and was told that the event can go on. The sheriff, Jimmy Travis, or whoever said that they're okay with it as long as nothing happens. As long as we provided our security and everything went like that. As far as the paperwork and everything, it was so much confusion between the sheriff department and the parish council is the reason why I'm assuming that we was told that everything was okay. And the reason why things was backed up on the road because the sheriff department was coming in and stopping things, so of course it backed up. Those are the reasoning why. It wasn't because the event wasn't moving and things weren't moving along, it was because it was interfered with along the way. So everything that was said was partially true, but it wasn't completely that way. So, and as far as the licenses and everything, we was trying to get these things done. I contacted different people on the council myself, trying to see what needed to be done, trying to see what paperwork we had to have in place, because we've done this event, this was the 6th year. The past 5 years, everything was good. We had all the paperwork, and when the other ordinance come in November, of course, we hadn't been attending the meetings and didn't really know everything that was put into place, so it was like what's going on now, it was kind of hard for us to, to have everything into place as far as the new things, because we were just going by what was already there and what we had already been, presenting. And we had never had an issue like this, and the biggest issue still was not the fact of the people, it was the fact of the misunderstanding or, the mix-up between the council and the sheriff department, because the sheriff department put it on the council put it on the sheriff department, so we didn't know which way to go. So when I spoke to her the day before, she was like, okay, I talked to Jimmy, he said everything was good, long as there's no problem, we will not interfere with the event unless something happens. I took responsibility for that because we hadn't had any issues. So just to clarify those things, and it makes it difficult for us if you guys or whoever it is don't know what's going on any more than us. You guys gonna know before we know. So if there's confusion there, then of course we're gonna be confused as well. So.
Yeah, the only thing I would tell you is, in that ordinance, there's a music part and there's a trail ride part, okay? You can call it a trail ride, but there's information there around music, and that makes a difference on what you have to do, okay? So
Correct.
that's probably one of the issues we have here,
Well, and we understood that part. We understood that part, but the thing was we didn't know about the ordinance. We didn't know, this is not, I guess it's publicized or whatever, but we wasn't in on the event, so I didn't know, okay, so since this is going on, now we need a everybody here would get everything that they need. Because we're trying to do it the right way. We're trying to have it to where you guys don't want to shut it down so we can continue. It's not like we have a lot of events going on around here, so had we known that, okay, I need to get a festival permit, then I would have got a festival permit. You know what I mean? And it was just misunderstood because I've been getting a trail ride permit and doing the exact same thing. So once it changed, we didn't know anything about the changes, so that's what made it a little bit difficult for us. And of course, some of it was last minute, but it was only because of the changes, and we reached out to try to get everything resolved. That's why we're here now.
Okay, appreciate your input.
You may have one quick question.
Yes.
How many people you anticipate being
It's
there?
difficult to say because, like she said, that some events are bigger than others. So, we can give you an estimation on it, but
What's your
it's still
estimate?
difficult.
Just a wild guess.
On ours, I mean, we went from a small group, like she stated, and now we're a little bit bigger now. So, 2,000 or plus, or
2,000?
sometimes, but it may not be that many. We may have 500. We may have 150. It's kind of difficult to say.
Okay.
So, and with that being said, that's why for most of us, we're going to have at least 6 or 7 sheriffs. Last year, we had 6, 7 sheriffs out there with the card, no issues. We haven't had any issues. I think the biggest issue that is bringing most of this about is the other event that was called a trail ride, but it wasn't. It was a party, and that's where a lot of this is coming in at. And we understand that, but we still trying to do everything the right way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's all we need is some clarity on it, on what we need to do, but we can't do it if you tell us 3 days before and we got to go through the meetings that's 2 weeks away. That's what makes it difficult for us. So if we can get something in then that'll help that, then everything will probably go a lot smoother than what it's been going
All right,
here.
appreciate it. Again, we're trying to work with you with these 2 events, and then we have our ordinance, the new ordinance in place, and I think hopefully it would go a lot smoother. That's just my take on this. Any other comments from anyone?
I would like to say that, I know it's hard to anticipate the amount of people to show up. You may anticipate 2,000, then it comes a rain and storm that day, and then 150, 200 show up. But I think it's important for them to understand that the new regulations that will be in the revised ordinance, if passed tonight, would require them to give us the estimated amount of people there. And that's only so we can estimate the amount of security needed to be there. And so if you're gonna estimate that number, I would suggest estimating over, because if you estimate under and there's not enough security, that's a reason for them to shut you down. So I would overestimate the amount of people there.
Or do a head count at the gate. Once you get to a certain number, if you estimated 1,000, you get to a certain number, you turn them away. Then you eliminate all your problems. Anybody else up here? Okay, the next item, but I think I'm getting to the next one. The public amusement event, Darius Dyson of New Breed Posse Club, Saturday, April 29, 2003, at 25072 South River Road, Roseland, in District 1. I know we've been talking in general, so I don't know if there's any other comments from the Sheriff's Office on this one, or Mr. Dyson, would you like to speak? I know they're the same type events, but I'm just saying, Mr. Darius, fill this one out, okay? Thank you.
There's Dyson 20182 Highway 16, Amite, Louisiana. What I was going to say was, we have more than one entrance. I have three, because it's my place. I have three. But the main entrance, and I got two other entrances on the top of the field up there. And that's what I was trying to tell one of your officers. I had three entrances to my place.
Okay.
And he pretty much said whatever I was going to say anyway, so I just wanted to say that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, any other comments on that? All righty, we'll move on to Tangipahoa Parish Ordinance 2314, an ordinance to grant a variance to Section 36117, General Commercial Property Development Setbacks and Buffer Areas, Building Front Setbacks for MRLQ LLC, Notalbany RV and Boat Complex Assessment number 1039-105. And this is in Mr. Ridgell's district, and this basically was recommended by the Planning Commission. Has to do with a setback being 25 feet rather than 50 feet. Mr. Ridgell, any comments? Or anyone in the audience, any comments? Okay, anyone else? All right, the next public hearing is Tangipahoa Parish Ordinance 2315, an ordinance authorizing the parish president to execute any and all documents in regard to the purchase of 2 acres of land from the Tangipahoa Parish School System for the construction of the Laranja Library Branch. Anyone here to comment on that? I know we've been working on that for quite a while.
Yeah, I'd like to, is Barry Bragg, excuse me? Yes, sir.
Your mic on.
Microphone.
I'd like Barry to just take a second. Tomorrow night, in Laranja, there's gonna be a community meeting. Barry, you wanna kinda bring it up so we can get it on the air?
Yes, sir. Tomorrow night, Tuesday, April 11th at 7 p.m. at Laranja Baptist Church, we will have a community meeting inviting anyone who would like to be there to give us input on what they would like to see in the new library branch in Laranja. So invite everybody.
Thank you, Barry.
Yes, sir.
Barry, how long have we been working on this library?
Oh, the Laranja branch? We've had it in our plan since 2010. So
A long time.
Yeah, for a long time.
Thank God.
Kind of like as long as Club Deluxe Road. Was in the plan.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments on that? Okay. All right, I got a couple of things I need to read because it has to do with tax calls. Pursuant to LARS 4219-.1, notice of consideration of action regarding ad valorem tax. Notice is hereby given that the parish of Tangipahoa, State of Louisiana, will meet on Monday, May the 8th, 2:30 at 5:30 at the Tangipahoa Parish Gordon A. Burgess Governmental Building, 206 East Mulberry Street, Amite, Louisiana, at which time there will be consideration of action regarding calling an election for the renewal of the levy and collection of an existing and ad valorem tax dedicated to the maintenance and support of the Tangipahoa Parish Library and its branches. Any comment from anyone? Okay. The next one I need to read is pursuant to LARS 4219-1, another tax call. Notice of consideration of action regarding ad valorem tax. Given that Road Lighting District 1 of the Parish of Tangipahoa, Louisiana will meet on Monday, May the 8th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. at the Tangipahoa Parish Gordon A. Burgess Governmental Building, 206 East Mulberry Street, Amite, Louisiana, at which time there will be consideration of action regarding calling an election for the renewal of the levy and collection of existing and valorem tax dedicated to providing and maintaining electric lights on the streets, roads, highways, and public places in the district, and that's Ms. Coates' district. Any comments on that?
These are renewals.
Yes, we do need the renewals. Please support them. Okay. I'll end the public hearing, and I will call the Tangipahoa Parish Council meeting to order. If you have a cell phone, if you would you please mute it or turn it off? And invocation, I'll ask Mr. Joseph to lead us in invocation, and Mr. Ridgell will lead us in the pledge.
All right. Let's get everybody please stand, heads bowed. Mr. Chairman, it's maybe it's just by chance, but it seems like every time I lead the invocation, I'm asking for a moment of silence, and today is no exception. I'm asking for a moment of silence for that tragedy in Louisville, Kentucky. I think as of now, 4 people have died. So may their souls rest in peace. Thank you all very much. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings we've received. We thank you for our health. We thank you for our strength. We thank you for our peace of mind. And we thank you for our families and our friends. We thank you for allowing us to enjoy a beautiful Easter Sunday. For we all know that he is risen. We ask that you bless this meeting tonight by giving the leadership the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding to make all those decisions that are pleasing in your sight. We ask the same for our national leadership, our state leadership, our parish leadership, and our local leadership. We ask that you bless all those who are responsible for our safety each day, namely our police officers, our first responders, our healthcare workers, and all those who run toward danger and not away from danger. Bless them, Lord, and bless their families. For when they leave home, we pray that they come back safely to their families in their various abodes. And Lord, we ask that you throw your strong arm of protection around our military personnel. It's my understanding that we get ready to deploy some of our soldiers to the country of Kuwait. Bless them, Lord, as they leave home and their families. And Lord, we be ever mindful to give you all the honor, all the glory, and all the praise. And all the saints within the sound of my voice responded by saying, Amen.
Face the flag, veterans and active military, render the proper salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Miss Jill, would you call roll, please?
Mr. Forrest?
Here.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Here.
Mr. Joseph?
Present.
Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Richtel?
Here.
Mr. Mayhew? Mr. Wells?
Here.
Mr. Vial?
Here.
Ms. Hyde?
Here.
Ms. Coates?
Okay. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes from March the 27th, 2023? Mr. Joseph is the first.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hyde, correct? Yes. Call roll, please.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Okay, approved 10-0. Public input, anyone wishing to address an agenda item which were not on the public hearing? Okay. We'll catch her when she gets here, when we get to that item. Yeah, go ahead.
Are you to me? Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. We have several things on the agenda under our report, the Parish President's Report, so we'll get moving. The first one is a proclamation for Fair Housing Month. Every year we do this. It's a fair, basically it states that we support as a parish that everyone deserves the opportunity for housing and fair housing. And the month of April is considered Fair Housing Month, so we have a proclamation here for that. The first item that requires any action is, this next one is the approval of change order number 2 for the courthouse elevator. As you all know, that we're working very hard to get another second elevator in the front of the courthouse and get the first one repaired, but this is about the new one. There was not a sump pump for that pit, so we have to add a sump pump to the pit, which is $3,838. So we're asking for your approval so we can move forward with that.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Forrest and Mr. Ridgel. Call roll, please.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes 10-0. Next item, please.
The next item is approval of change order number 3 for the courthouse elevator. This is on the 3rd floor. The new elevator, the current elevator in the front only goes to the 2nd floor. The new elevator in the front will go all the way to the 3rd floor. 3rd floor, if y'all all remember, is the old jail. Currently, initially, we were going to open just to the mechanical room, the exposure of the third floor the way it was. Since the judges and the courthouse residents, our other agencies that work in the courthouse are already looking at opportunities to use the third floor, so they'd like a little bit nicer lobby, a little bit better, just a basic lobby when it opens. So we're adding that, and that'd be $31,980. Appreciate the support there.
Any questions from Mr. Miller? Is there a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph, first.
I'll second.
There's a second by Mr. Wells. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates? Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 4 is actually, there was a communications, a little bit of difference in communications there, so it really doesn't exist, so we can skip item 4. Do y'all need to take action on that, or we just skip it, Brad?
We can
Okay.
just remove it.
All right.
According to the attorney.
So item 5 is approval of the bids for our overlay program for phase 2023, this year coming up, or the year we're in right now, to start very soon. Barrier Construction was the low bidder, and I actually have a typo here. I believe it's $7,102,000. Is that correct? Or is it $7,800,000? 7,102,000?
102,867.96.
I have 78 million on my notes, so I don't think y'all want to do that.
That's kind of a good bid.
7,102,000. Y'all like that, right?
Yeah, we good.
If we could figure out where to get the money, we'd do it. We'd roll with it. 7,102,867.53.
And the bids were very close.
Yeah, they were. They were exceptionally close.
Is
Only
there-
only two bidders, though.
Yeah.
is
Can I get a motion,
concern.
please?
So moved.
Ms. Hyde, and second by Mr. Graffia. Call roll, please.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Thank you.
But was the bids on target with what you?
No, sir. They're way over budgets, but we're going to be able to work it out. Missy Coward, our finance director, has assured me that we can handle it. But I will tell you that we're going to have to strictly adhere to it, and there won't be any additions to it. Let's put it that
Can't
way.
call you next week and add a couple of roads?
No, sir. It's a little too late.
All right, passes 10-0.
All right.
Item 6.
Number 6 is approval of final acceptance for milling and overlay of State Line Road in District 1. If y'all remember, that was a partnership between Tangipahoa Parish government and the state of Mississippi, because that road goes in and out of Mississippi and Tangipahoa. Mr. Forrest worked very hard to help get the state of Mississippi involved, and so it's a really good project, really, when it came down to it. But it's finished and done, so we're wanting to see if we can accept it.
Yeah, thank y'all for the working with them, from the contractors and the bids and everything, and I'm glad we finally got it done. It should be another 30 years or so before we have to do that again, so, I'll make the motion.
Second. First by Mr. Forrest, and second by Mr. Graffia. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates? Yes. Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7 is approval to seek bids for the blower flare for the gas combustion system at the landfill. We currently have one, but with the new cells coming on, we have to add on to it, increase the capacity. Item 7 and 8 are both, they're two different types of work, but they both are tied together in the gas collection and system for the landfill.
Any questions for Mr. Miller? Get a motion, please? I think I heard Mr. Mayhew and second by Mr. Joseph. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia? Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller, you're still up.
And then, still got 3 more to go. Approval, number 8, approval to seek bids for the gas collection and control system at the landfill. It's in conjunction with the previous item.
Get a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr. Forrest, and the second?
Second.
Mr. Joseph. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
All right, that was approved
And
10-0.
just a quick note on those 2 items. whenever our gas system was put in place, it was a prototype and a trial, so we were getting tax credits. It's become a mandatory system you have to have in a landfill, so we don't get that anymore. I will tell you that for 7 and however many months we are into this term, 7 years and 3 months or so, we have fought and fought to find a way to use that gas instead of just flaring it, to turn it into a revenue source, into an energy source. I think we're going to be coming, hopefully we'll be coming to y'all relatively soon to go out for bids for some private-public partnerships on that gas. Just because I figure the public will be asking why we flare it instead of using. We've been working on it. And it's not clean. You have to clean it before you can do anything with it. If it can flare, but to use it, it has to be cleaned, and that process is relatively expensive. In any case, thank you. I just want to make sure y'all knew that.
Okay.
Item 9 is approval to seek bids for the Breakwater Rock Jetty project. If y'all remember, that's been going on for quite a while. We finally got Corps approval, 2+ years for the Army Corps of Engineers to approve our plans for that. It's a continuation of the current rock jetty. Anybody that enjoys the lake between the mouth of the Tangipahoa River and back to South Pass should recognize the rock jetty being exceptionally successful at rebuilding land and providing more hurricane protection. We want to continue it as far to the mouth of the South Pass that we can.
Also move. I'll second.
All right, first by Ms. Coates, second by Ms. Hyde. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates? Yes. Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Thank you. And then the last item on that needs action is the approval to accept into the parish maintenance system Island Trace 2. It's actually the remainder of the roads that are not in the system in that subdivision. It's parts of Island Trace Boulevard, South Trace Extension, and Anderson Canal Loop.
All right, I think that's Ms. Coates' district.
Yeah, I also moved. I did get an email from Kylie that they worked on the drainage that I had wanted them to do before we did this, and that was done. So I'll go ahead and make that motion.
All right, first by Ms. Coates, is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Hyde is second. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Yes, 10-0.
Thank you.
Anything else,
Does
Mr.
anybody
Miller?
I don't have any other items for action. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No, that's just enough, okay?
You want me to go?
Yeah,
But
you-
thank you very much. I hope everyone had a happy Easter and that they enjoy the rest of the Easter season.
Thank you,
God bless
sir. Okay, we'll move into regular business, and the next item up is a presentation of NACA, Neighbors Assistance Corporation of America, America's Best Mortgage Program, what they're committing to assisting Tangipahoa Parish increase its ownership for all of its residents. And it's a nonprofit that assists in, obviously, increasing home ownership. And we have Dr. Lou Russell here and another gentleman who I'll let him introduce himself in a second. And we have a presentation for us.
And I'm just going to very quickly say, as the resident of Tangipahoa Parish, and certainly a businesswoman and realtor in this area, I've worked with NACA that has been around the country for over 40 years, having now made a effort to do more in rural areas. It is the best mortgage in America. It is open to anyone that is able to purchase based on their income. No money down, no closing costs, no fees. It is an incredible program. Mr. Washington Riles is one of the regional vice presidents, and he's come in from North Carolina. I will let him give highlights and talk about the program, but I wanted you to know that it was not just him showing up, but that we have the connection here in the parish.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you
for being here.
Thank you
If
for
you
your
would,
time.
just give us your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Washington Riles. My address is 2615 Buckley Drive in Charlotte, North Carolina, 28215.
And your position with NACA is?
I'm a regional director.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Floor is yours.
All right, I have a handout here I wanted to pass. Can I do that for you?
Yes, sure.
All right.
Mr. Washington, give me someone to go this way.
Okay.
I'll give them all out. You can start talking. That'll work.
You want me to go the other way?
All righty. Okay, so my name is Washington Riles.
Regional Director at NACA. I've worked at NACA for, it stands for Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. We have what we call the best mortgage in America. I've worked at NACA for 12 years. I'm originally from Michigan, worked at NACA for 12 years, started in the home save department, helping people to actually save their homes. As I moved through the ranks of employment, I was able to go to the purchase side where I'm now able to make sure that folks get into the best mortgage program that they can be in so that they're no longer in a position where they're losing their homes. All right, we say that NACA is the best mortgage program in America because it overcomes the 4 barriers to home ownership. Lack of significant savings. The NACA mortgage, as Ms. Russell said, is no down payment, no closing costs, there's no mortgage insurance. All of the regular fees that you see a person pay in a mortgage is paid by the lender through our contract. Predatory underwriting based on credit score. The NACA mortgage is not based on credit score. It's based on character-based lending. We look at payments within over 24 months and with a higher focus on what a person has paid within the most recent 12 months and with a even higher focus on how they've paid their rent in the most recent 12 months. We believe that if a person has paid their rent on time for the most recent 12 to 24 months, they should be able to have no issues paying a mortgage at that same level of payment, right? Unaffordable terms. Everyone at NACA gets the same interest rate. It's a below market fixed interest rate, fixed for the life of the loan, no prepayment penalty, no balloon payment. So if whether a person has a 500 credit score or an 800 credit score, if you go into contract today to purchase a home, you're going to have the same starting interest rate and with the ability to buy that interest rate down with your own funds or with the seller's funds. Right? If you're a low to moderate income buyer, from my understanding, the MSA income in Tangipahoa is $69,700. If you make less than 100% of that median income, you're going to get an automatic 1% reduction in the rate, and then you can again begin to buy the rate down from there. All right. Racism and biases by the fourth barrier. When a person is qualified at NACA, you go out into the market to purchase a home with a pre-approval letter that carries just as much weight as any other lender in the market. All right, and so what you have there is a document that goes over basically four of our products that we are bringing to you. Right, they're all founded in the NACA mortgage. Right, they're all founded in the NACA mortgage. Now, NACA is a housing counseling agency before we are a mortgage broker. Right, we're a housing counseling agency before we are a mortgage broker. We're all about affordability. All right, we're going to work with a person for as long as it takes to get them qualified for a mortgage. All right, we're going to work with a person as long as it takes for them to get qualified for a mortgage. All right, some of the things you see in there are going to talk about eligibility for NACA. So to be eligible for NACA, you cannot be an investor. You have to own or occupy the property. You have to be a registered voter. You have to participate in whichever way you feel comfortable. All right. NACA is paid by the lender, right? So there's no fees. All NACA services are free, all right? The first step is to actually come to a home buyer's workshop. And so again, everything boils back down to the counseling, right? We want to make sure that the person is qualified and can afford the mortgage payment that we qualify them for. We don't care what the purchase price is. If you got a rich uncle, you hit the lottery, you got some significant money saved. If you can put some principal reduction on to bring that purchase price down, as long as that payment is affordable, we're comfortable with you moving forward with that purchase and going out and purchasing that home. So everything boils back down to the NACA mortgage. What you have there is another product you'll see in there is another product. It's called the HOT PHA. We call it it's a home ownership through public housing assistance. It's a program that's set for people who are on Section 8 or they can receive a housing choice voucher. All right, and we look at taking the standard payment, right? Say it's $1,500, and typically a person may pay $300 to $400 on that every month, and they're already paying this, right? We would take that payment standard and make that and bag into a purchase price, right? Bag into a purchase price, and then get the member into a 15 to 20 year mortgage, so that at the end of the 15 to 20 years, that house is paid for. All right. Thus creating generational wealth for someone who probably thought they would never be eligible to buy a home. Fixed income, all those things are on the table. All right. The third program that we're looking at, we really need you guys to take a look at is the dollar program there. right? So we want to look at, buying maybe your blighted blighted lots or your blighted homes and bringing those into the program and passing that instant equity on to a member. One of the other programs that we have a rehab department. It's called Home and Neighborhood Development. And so so NACA the mortgage is 100% financing, but for a rehab, we can finance up to 110% of the appraised value, right, for any home that needs a rehab. So you couple that with a property that needs some work, right, and we're passing on exponential wealth onto a homeowner. All right, but we need the help of the cities and parishes to let us see those properties and help us to make that possible for the community. So that is big, right? That is big right now. We're also looking at development because right now in the housing market, and this is Fair Housing Month, and I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you bringing me here, allowing me to talk. The development is we're looking at taking those lots and also coupling them with what we're calling factory-built homes. All right, it's a typical manufactured home, putting them on those lots and then again passing that wealth on to the homeowner. All right, so NACA is again all about generational wealth. We're all about stabilizing communities. We're a housing counseling agency before we are a mortgage broker, and we want to do anything that we can to make home ownership, affordable home ownership, a reality for as many homeowners as we possibly can. Just recently over the Martin Luther King holiday, we came here, Ms. Russell and a couple of other folks over in Hammond. We did about 19 events where we were able to get people qualified in over a 4-day time span, and that went from we were in 4 states, including here Louisiana, Alabama, Texas, and Texas. And so those events are phenomenal, right? We were able to kind of get folks through the process, get them into our program, help them to understand that home ownership is a realization it's a reality for them. It can be. And so we want to look at what can we do to get the word out, right? And change the mindset of those that feel like all they can do is rent, right? All they can do is rent, or there's no vehicle out there to make home ownership attainable for them. All right. I mean, NACA is a phenomenal program. We've been around for, over 30 years. Our CEO, Bruce Marks, he's all about the homeowner. I mean, I've worked for the man for, like I say, over 12 years. I've been a regional director for 3 years. I can personally say that this man is definitely all about the homeowner and affordable mortgages and whatever we can do as a company to bring that into different communities. So I'm glad to be here today. I appreciate the time.
What about new construction?
Definitely new construction.
If a person owns their own land,
yes,
but they've rented all their life, but they may have a piece of property that was heired to them from a grandparent or something, and they wanted to construct a new house, this program has something for
we're
that
looking
too?
at construction financing. Right now, we don't have the construction financing, but they would get the construction financing, and then we would convert it into a mortgage once the house is built.
Got it.
Yeah, but we are looking for the construction. But in terms of property types, single family, condo, duplex, tri-family or 3-family, and 4-family is what we look at. I try to encourage younger folks to look at that multifamily before the single family, right, to build that wealth instantly, right? You have to actually own or occupy one of the units. But that is phenomenal for setting a person up for generational wealth and income in the future.
And is there an income top and bottom?
No.
It's open to anybody?
No, it's open to anybody. Yeah, it's open to anybody. Yeah.
The contact number for people in Tangipahoa Parish would be this 225 number on the front?
Yes, and the national number is at the bottom there, so either one of those numbers are good. And then the website is there, NACA.com is right there on the cover sheet for you.
Question. I skimmed through here. I didn't see it, though. I'm sure it's in here someplace. Help for veterans?
No specific help for veterans in particular, but we believe that this program is just as good as the VA mortgage.
Yeah, I know you can get a certificate of eligibility with the VA and they'll help, but I thought this might beat that.
Well, it's 100% financing, just as
that's what I like about it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have them look into this. Also, I think Carlo asked it, but if, matter of fact, believe it or not, I just got a call about 2 weeks ago. This young couple just built, and they're trying to, the interest rate was up there when they did it. They're trying to find a means to lower that rate.
Finance.
Yeah, finance.
We've been looking at a rehab refinance, but it's not particular, it's more so for as the gentleman was talking about, someone that had air property or something like that, where, you know, the home maybe was inhabitable, where it needs some work. If we can save a couple of points, if it makes sense, right, to do the rehab, to do the refinance, we'll look at it. But typically, some of those cases, it doesn't make sense, so you're not able to give them as much of a savings as they typically would think they can get.
Mr. Wells? Mr. Wells, you know, you're probably looking at a Carolina Panthers fan, huh?
I'm not gonna ask a whole lot of questions before you guys know, but believe me, I know who to talk to.
All right.
And what to send the people, that's for sure. And gonna be glad to send them, make that reference.
Mr. Mayor,
That's
Mr.
nice
Mayor,
presentation.
I think Mr. Mayor had.
Did
a few
you
comments.
touch on, like, the caller was asking about if you own your piece of land and what about mobile homes? Is it only structured homes, or is it mobile homes also?
Yeah, it would need to be it would need to actually be real estate, so it had to be attached to a foundation to get for a mortgage.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a home off the ground, but not a mobile home.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would need to have a foundation to actually be real estate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? Just to reiterate, the contact info I have here is www.naca.com and email services@naca.com. Contact phone number would be 225-767-9224.
That's it.
And we really appreciate y'all being here this evening.
Yeah.
Dr. Russell, thank you for bringing this to our, I mean, it sounded like a great program. First time I heard of it, I'm being honest,
Definitely.
okay?
Yeah, we got to spread the
So,
word.
we're trying to we'll get the word out. We're on TV. Hey, you're on TV tonight.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, Mr. Riles, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
and
sir. Washington Riles.
Yes, thank y'all very much for being here.
This is exactly what we wanted to get the word out. I have done some mortgages in Tangipahoa Parish. Most of them I've done in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, where they seem to get the information a little bit easier.
Okay.
We've done from $80,000 homes to $600,000
Wow,
homes.
I'm amazed.
Mortgage, so it's open to anybody.
Thank y'all again.
y'all.
Thank y'all
Thank
again
you.
for being
Thank
here.
y'all.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
And thanks for coming from North Carolina. Any other comments on that? Okay, we'll move on. See where I am here. Okay, number 12, public amusement special event approval. We talked about this earlier. Ms. Lewis of Crown Riders Trail Ride Club, Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, at 25072 South River Road, Roseland, in District 1.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Forrest.
So, we've had this discussion tonight, and I can appreciate all the comments by the sheriff's office and can see where these things could be troublesome. But we are looking into this, and we are changing the ordinances and trying to make this work for both sides here. But with it being just a few days away, I don't think and we're still working on the ordinance, there's no way that they would be able to follow the new ordinance prior to this event. So I'll make a motion to approve the event held on April 22nd.
Would there be any conditions to that?
Yes, there would. I'm sorry. I'm glad you brought that up. Given that they would provide us with the amount of people that will be anticipating and being there, give that information to the sheriff's office so that they can notify them exactly how many security they need there.
Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Anything on the liquor? Anything on the liquor?
To my understanding, that everything's already been done. Is that correct?
Not with the liquor. Not with the alcohol. They need a letter from the sheriff's department in order to get that special event from ATC. The sheriff's department did not give them that letter to get that.
You're adding that in there? I'm just asking.
Yes, they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to.
Would the sheriff's department have time to?
Turn your mic on.
Yeah, put your mic on, please.
Would y'all have time enough to? Oh man, I don't know. would y'all, today's the 10th, this is
Yes.
the 22nd.
Yes.
So it's 12 days. If y'all were to give them that and they could get the special event permit and get y'all the information for the security, would 12 days give y'all enough time to be able to man this event? I don't know, I'm just trying to find out.
That's a good question.
Yeah, come to the mic, please. Thank you.
We would have to have an understanding of how many people. We'd also have to understand, I know Mr. Darius said his property has 2 or 3 different entrances, how accessible they are. We would have to see proper lighting. We would have to see how many vendors. We'd have to see if that license took place through you. There's for public safety, right? Yeah, how many people would the group have directing traffic within? How many people, because we don't park people. How many, where they would park. So there's a bunch of information that we would require, we would ask to get. I would imagine that they probably have that information, but like Mr. Darius said, he's got 2 or 3 entrances. Well, we only used one this night. And so when we talk about medical services getting in and getting out, that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
Understand. I mean, Mr. Forrest?
How long does it take to get that stuff answered? Because these people have already spent money to try to get things.
He might have
to
the answer
it.
now. I don't know that.
If that information was provided to you, say by 12 o'clock tomorrow, would we be able to allow them to have this on the 22nd?
We could get them a letter that they could serve to the ATC and get that proper license. That's what we would do.
Okay, thank you.
If they got all the other stuff they can present y'all with.
Sure, yes, sir.
Do y'all have enough of the material to give to him that he's asking for? Okay. Well, Trent, why don't you just put that in, if you don't mind,
I'll
put
add
that
that.
in your motion that as long as they get everything to the sheriff's department by the end of workday tomorrow, you know?
Yeah, add that to the motion. As long as they receive all the paperwork required by the sheriff's office by the end of the workday tomorrow.
If that's okay, you can have all your information in my.
Is that a yes, Mr. Wells? I didn't hear. Okay. All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
But Will second.
I second.
Ms. Wells, second? All right, would you call roll, please?
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yeah.
Mr. Joseph?
Let me say this before I vote. I just got to say this. When I got here tonight, I talked to you, Trent, about this, talked to some other people, and I'm leaning on my biblical beliefs. In Proverbs 18:17, it says something like this: when you hear a story, you tend to believe it or go along with it until you hear the other side. The other side I heard tonight was that it doesn't seem like we have our act together as far as the ordinance is concerned. So I agree with you, Trent. I think until we can get that done, it's hard to implement this. You follow what I'm saying? So I'm going to support Trent's motion.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Before I vote, I'm going to make this comment one more time. We need to be, we really need to think about the number that we give the sheriff's department. Okay, that's very important, because based on that is where your security comes from. So if we get this 500 people and it's 2,000, we're gonna have an issue. That's all I'm saying. So just be sure you think through this before you give the sheriff's office that number. I'll vote yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
And look,
Motion passed 10-0. Thank
if
you.
I could,
Yes, sir.
I think the whole thing that's getting lost in the shuffle here, this is not a personal vendetta against anybody. But look, if something was to go wrong out there, and with a crowd of people like that, and God forbid, with all this kookiness that's going on nowadays, and somebody decided to act a fool and pull out a gun, there could be some serious issues there. Not only for the people getting injured, but the person that owns the property. Does that person have insurance to cover all of that and all of this stuff? So I think y'all better look at the bigger picture of this. The bigger these things get, the bigger chance that something could go wrong. And we don't want to be looking back and saying we didn't do enough to protect everybody that's there. Because I know everybody's coming there to have a good time with no expectations of nothing being bad. But nowadays, you can't expect that anymore. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. But maybe if y'all programs are going to continue to grow, you may need to look at other safety stuff, including maybe bringing in private security also to help out with crowds that get to be 2,000 and more than that. So it's not anything personal. This would happen to anybody that was coming before us tonight would have to go through these same things. So we doing it not only for the parish's safety, but for the people's safety that are going to be there.
And we, Ms. Dezou will get in contact, you have their information, right? We'll get in contact y'all tomorrow to be sure we have this process that we need to go through in the next few days so we can get this done right. Okay, and then again, in the future, we're moving toward a different process that should clean this thing up and make it a lot simpler to walk through. That was 10-0. Okay, next item is public amusement special event approval, Darius Dyson of New Breed Posse Club, Saturday, April 29th, 2023 at 25072 South River Road, Roseland, in District 1. Mr. Forrest.
I'd like to make the same motion that they would, I would vote for, make a motion to approve it, given that they would provide the sheriff's office with the number of attendees so that they can find out how much security is needed, and that they would also follow the alcohol licensing process just as the previous item on the agenda.
All right, is there a second?
Do you want to put a deadline on them? Maybe Thursday?
This is the 29th. This was for 29th, so.
Well, I know, but it would be better to give the sheriff as much time as they can have.
I agree.
So
I'm just giving the
I
date.
think if you give them till maybe Friday at noon to have their information into the sheriff's office, that gives them a week, maybe a little longer to do what they have to do with that.
Yeah, I agree. Let's put a stipulation that all the paperwork, alcohol permits, everything's submitted by Friday at noon for the event to be held on April 29th.
All right, and Mr. Dyson, you're sitting behind the podium, but you okay with that? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. That was the first. Is there a second?
Yes.
By Mr. Joseph. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Ingraffia.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph.
Yes.
Mr. Bruno.
Yes.
Mr. Richtel.
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew.
Yes.
Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Mr. Vial.
Yes.
Ms. Hyde.
Yes.
Ms. Coates.
Yes.
Mr. Forrest.
Yes. Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Just so everyone knows that if we pass this ordinance, I'd like all future, after these two that we work through, because of time constraints in the future, all of them will have to follow the new ordinance if we elect to pass it.
Yes, that's correct.
I think would it be a good idea, we can look back on these special event things and send everybody a copy of the new ordinance.
I just want to say that because there might be people that's going to ask for one later, and then y'all may not have to do some things that they're going to have to do. So it's still going to change if we pass these ordinances.
And there is a upfront time frame of 60 days, so that's the other part of this process we have to look at. Okay, any other comments, anything else on that? Okay, notice of election, Punchtool Area Rec District 1, Mr. Greg Fletcher is chairman, and he is here this evening for a brief comment.
Hi, my name's Greg Fletcher, represent Ponchatoula Area Rec District. I'm just here tonight to notify you that we will be back next month to ask to be put on the November ballot to renew our 10 mil tax.
Okay, and this is just part of the process to have something on the ballot for taxes. Thank you for being here. Have a good evening.
You're on the card board? Yes. Do you have a card?
In my truck, I don't have one.
Can I get one? I need to talk to you about something. Okay.
I can send you his number, Mr. Joseph.
Oh, okay.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move into adoption of ordinances. Adoption of Tangipahoa Parish Ordinance 2314, an ordinance to grant a variance to Section 36-117, General Commercial Property Development Setbacks and Buffer Areas, Building Front Setbacks, for MRLQ LLC, Notalbany RV and Boat Complex, assessment number 1039105. Mr. Ridgel, that is your district.
I so move.
Got a first from Mr. Ridgel and a second from Mr. Mayhew.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia? Oh, he stepped out.
That was 10-0. Who stepped out? So 9-0, okay. All righty. The next item is adoption of TP ordinance 2315, an ordinance authorizing the parish president to execute any and all documents in regard to the purchase of 2 acres of land from the Tangipahoa Parish School System for the construction of the Laranja Library Branch, purchase price $34,937.80.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Bruno, and second by Mr. Joseph.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Passes 10-0. Okay, now we get into some introduction of ordinances. And this public hearing for these ordinances will be held Monday, April the 24th, and that's for items 17 through 25. First introduction is an ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 36, Planning and Development, Article 4, Standards for Subdivision of Property, 3691, Major Subdivision Standards, Townhomes. And this was recommended by the DRC. And I'll read this statement. A townhouse is a residential structure consisting of family dwelling units constructed in a series or group including more than, and we're scratching that and just putting 2 units with common walls. Minimum lot size will be 4,000 square feet, and minimum lot width will be 40 feet. And that was recommended by the DRC with input from the planning group.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Hyde was the first, and second was Mr. Mayhew. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is introduction of TP ordinance 2318, an ordinance amending and enacting Appendix C figures 14 and 15, and this is to standardize parking requirements and parking stalls. And this was recommended by Planning Group and the DRC.
So move.
Ms. Hyde's the first. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Coates is the second. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Passes 10-0. Item number 19, introduction to TP ordinance 2319, an ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 36, Planning and Development, Article 4, Standards for Subdivision of Property, Section 36-91, Major Subdivision Standards, 1/2 acre lots. And this was recommended by the DRC. There's been a lot of conversation around this, trying to get something enforced between now and when we finish up the comprehensive plan. And then those codes would be adopted that would set the direction that the parish goes. But between now and then, it's recommended by the DRC that any future developments would be 1/2 acre lots.
We had someone that wanted to speak on that item.
Oh, yeah, Miss Stacy Ball, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Hi, my name is Stacy Ball, and my address is 22262 Floyd Levine Road in Ponchatoula. I'm coming to you tonight to talk about the rampant, out-of-control, unregulated development in our parish. You all know about this. I'm here to ask, and maybe even beg a little, for the council to seriously consider an immediate, strict moratorium on multi-unit parcel development. I understand there's a proposed ordinance regulating a minimum 1/2 acre lot to new develops. It is appreciated, but it's still not enough. We aren't Metairie and have no desire to live like we are. My concern is not people building homes for themselves on their own property, but these behemoth subdivisions allowed to drain our already depleted infrastructure, as well as the utter destruction of our natural resources. Our parish has so many needs: better schools, jobs, repairing decrepit infrastructure, better pay and equipment for our police and firefighters, the implementation of thoughtful zoning so we don't have Dollar Generals popping up in our backyards, more diverse recreational areas, and of course, continued economic growth. Most of us want to preserve our cultural and historical quality of life. All of those things take money. Our voters have steadily rejected increases in taxes, but if we want these improvements, someone has to pay for them. So instead of tapping our residents for their hard-earned money, let's have these multi-million-dollar residential developers pay a significant impact fee, one that is not able to be waived, and establish regulations mandating larger lot size. I understand people that own a significant amount of acreage who've decided to sell said property to relocate to maybe a cozy cabin in Montana. I get that. But we have tried to pump the brakes on this runaway train, some called progress, and yet we're headed quickly for a horrific quality of life disaster. Am I asking to keep our parish in a stagnant development phase? No. I'm asking the complete opposite. Responsible growth and development is necessary for our precious parish to flourish. This unregulated thought process, we have 10 acres, so let's put 50 homes on it, is quite actually disgusting. Tangi 2045 is a group of vested property and business owners, as Mr. Vial said, working to develop a parish growth plan. The goal is not to stop progress, rather facilitate mindful development of what's left of our dwindling green space and be an instrument of forward-thinking amenities for its residents. So my petition to you is to consider a strict moratorium on multi-unit property development until this project, Tangi 2045, is complete in September-ish. Encourage your constituents to review and participate in the survey and interactive websites. And that is all. However, I do support the half-acre lots as a starting point, but I would like to see additional moratorium, we've done it before, on these large-scale developments.
Appreciate you being here. As a group, we have some different opinions, but I mean, we're trying to find a happy medium between now and when we get this comp plan, and we hope to have that completed by the end of the year. Should we have implemented a comp plan 15 years ago? Yes, we didn't.
Sure.
So here we are. We're trying to get there. We want to be sure that residents, both, middle-income residents have an opportunity for properties to own a home, and I think we've got enough of the smaller lots. I think there's probably some more comments about that, but we've got plenty of those on the books, and this is just a move in the direction of trying to get more green space and try to buy us, I guess, time until we get the comp plan. Now, when we get the comp plan, we as a board have to adopt the codes based on the comp plan, and hopefully that'll tell us where we build, what we build, and how we build.
Right.
That's the game plan.
I'm a part of that,
Yes,
that
I'm aware.
process as
Yes.
well. But like I said, I do support this half-acre ordinance, but we still need to do better, much better.
Understand.
Thanks y'all so much.
Yes,
Have
thank
a
you
good
for
night.
being here. Appreciate it. And really, we need more input from citizens for this group, to be honest with you. We've had some meetings. They've been pretty well attended, I think, and we're hoping to get more input. Any other comments from the board?
This half acre is contingent on the master plan. Once the master plan is approved or not approved, will this still stay in effect? This is just
To answer your question, I would say yes, it's in effect until we, as a board, adopt the codes based on the comp plan and what it kind of tells us directional areas should be. So, I guess to answer your question, once those codes are adopted, then those codes would take precedent over this particular item.
Okay.
But that will be up to this board to do that.
Look, there's one thing I hear it over and over again, and I try to tell people every time. This council has nothing to do with the school system or the school board. We cannot take into consideration that Laranja Elementary is going to be overrun with kids because of a subdivision. The school board has to take responsibility for that. I mean, we're going to do everything, and I think we're doing everything, and this, people, I had a gentleman, a real estate agent, call me over the weekend telling me that, everything's rigged and the council's selling itself to the developers. this council has done more to regulate these developers than any council that I've been a part of. And as far as I know, there's no money being passed out. If somebody's getting it, let me know, because I haven't seen it. But the thing about it is, the first thing that comes out of everybody's mouth, well, the schools can't handle it. That's not our problem. It is not this council's problem. The school board needs to be doing the same thing that the parish council is doing right now. They need to have a 2044 sit down. But we get blamed for everything, and we don't have anything to do with that. If Champ Cooper School can't handle the people, then the school board's got to build some buildings. And they got to find out what happy medium the people out there want, whether they want to pass taxes or don't pass taxes. But it upsets me because the first thing, even the dollar store, when we had a dollar store, somebody brought up about, even when the dollar store was being talked about down there, one of the people that called me was talking about there's more people going to be in the area and it's going to affect the schools to go to the dollar store. I mean, come on now. But I just get really, really upset. If you don't like the schools being overcrowded, go to the school board meeting. That's what I'm saying. Because there's not a thing the 10 of us can do if the school is overcrowded. And that's one point when we get to this master plan, we'll be glad to give it to the parish, to the school board, and then they need to look at what they got to do for their schools. I can tell you, Laranja school system was built for 2,000 kids, 3 schools, elementary, middle, and high school. There's 2,000 kids in the elementary and the middle school. There's nothing built out there. They just bought land this year to build the high school. But, I mean, what does that got to do with us? We're struggling with the money we have to try to do what we need to do. But this runaway building, I think we've put the brakes on a lot of it. Now, can we stop it all? There's no way you're going to stop it all, because we don't have any right to tell a person that owns property that he can't sell it. That's the way it goes. Now, and we surely can't tell a developer you can only build 10 houses on that piece of property. So I don't know where the happy medium's going to be, but I don't think anybody's going to be happy with the outcome. Whatever the outcome of this new thing is not going to be the golden goose that everybody thinks it is.
It's not gonna solve every problem. No, there's no doubt about it, you know, and I'm as conservative as they come, and I don't want to pay taxes, but let's be realistic, okay? The majority of the taxing districts in our school system pay 4 mills, okay? Now Hammond pays 22, but I want you to think about that, 4 mills.
0 in Lorraine.
Hard to build schools with that, okay? So,
David, I'm going to piggyback on what Carlo is right. The school board has its own taxing authority. If you need a new school, you pass a tax and build it. But don't punish somebody else. I can't see that. That's not the way it works. I agree with you, Bruno.
anyone else like to speak on that?
I'll second Mr. Bruno's motion.
All right, that was the first by Mr. Bruno, second by Ms. Hyde. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgell?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Okay, item 20 is introduction to TP ordinance 2320, an ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 8 amusement special events. We've been talking about this half the night, but this would replace the old language with the new language that we're trying to implement for these special events. First by Mr. Bruno, second by?
Second.
By Mr. Joseph.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Are these special events council imposed conditions in this sheet we have?
I'm sorry, say that again? In the future?
Yes.
There's a checklist, yes.
This
You have
is
to go
part
down,
of the
you go down this
formula.
checklist, it says you require this, and it's, yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Vial?
yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Ridgel? Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
None.
9-0. Okay. All right, the next item is 22, introduction of TP ordinance 23-22, an ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 50 Utilities, private-owned utility emergency plan. I didn't do 21? Oh, I didn't do 21, okay, I'm sorry. Introduction of TP ordinance number 23-21, an ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 32 nuisances, sound control. This was recommended by the nuisance committee and developmental reg committee recommended this.
I'll speak on this a minute. We've been working on this for a long time, and we've had many requests for it, that people want us to try to have some ordinance in place to stop the loud music or people that are burdening other neighbors. And when the sheriff's department would go out, they had no authority to be able to write a citation or shut them down. So we're coming up with an ordinance. The committee has been working on it for a long time. We're going to pass this tonight. We may have to tweet it some as we go, but we're trying to give the sheriff's department and the officials some authority to shut down the disrespectful people and the ones that are as a nuisance. So I just want to touch on that. I don't know if anybody's read the ordinance itself, but it's not in stone, obviously. We're going to probably have to tweet it as we go, but we're going to start out with what we have.
I'm sorry, Joy, because I thought it was on the next one, so.
That was my, that
Yeah,
that was my
because-
mistake, yeah. That was
I
my-
withdraw my motion, because y'all did do some work on that. But, I think it's gonna be,
Microphone, please.
I think it's gonna be good because it puts it more in the disturbing the peace mode, and that's gonna help a tremendous amount. So I think y'all did a great job with it, and I'm like you, I think we're gonna probably have to do a little more to it, but let's see how it goes. At least it's something we hadn't had in 15 years.
Thank you.
So I'll withdraw my motion.
And I commend the committee too, because they all been working on it with me. It wasn't just me alone, it was the whole committee.
So Mr. Mayhew, and second?
second.
Second, Mr. Wells. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes. 10-0. Okay, the next one is 22, introduction of TP ordinance 2322. An ordinance amending and enacting Chapter 50 Utilities, private-owned utility emergency plan requirements. This was also a committee that recommended this, and the DRC recommended it. We had some issues during the last storm about private utilities companies and what emergency plans do they have. So this drives them into giving the parish their emergency plan during these type of events. I think Mr. Bruno is, Mr. Bruno.
I want to thank everyone that served on that committee, and I also want to thank,
Mike, please. Just leave it on.
I want to thank Dawson Prime, who also assisted us with this. So it's a start also. We'll see. Hopefully we don't need it for the next 20 years, but I think it's something that we can start from and build from. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Joseph. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Coates? Yes. Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Okay, item 23, introduction of TP ordinance 2323, an ordinance to grant a variance to section 36-90 minor subdivision standards, minor petitions fronting on a public road for Carlos and Shirley Skiro, assessment number 3817903. The planning commission did recommend this one, and it's in your district, Mr. Bruno.
So move.
I second.
All right, first by Mr. Bruno and a second by Mr. Ridgel. Would you call roll, please?
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Okay, next item 24, introduction, that was 10-0. Next item 24, introduction of TP ordinance number 2324, an ordinance to grant a variance to section 36-112, special classification property development standards. mobile manufactured home placement standards for placement on a single lot for Channing Garrett applicant and Virginia Bowers, assessment number 1878107 in District 7. Mr. Wells' district, the planning commission did not recommend this one.
No, the planning commission did not recommend. I'm sorry. No, the planning commission did not recommend it, because of the available space and the placing of two trailers. Tracy, you wanted to say something on this?
Is he here?
Request was actually for two lots that are adjacent to each other, so he's asking to put a mobile home on each lot, at the corner of Range Road, just outside the city limits of Hammond. I think recently you guys had heard a few cases in that area. So his request was to put two mobile homes on each piece. They're 40 by, I think,
40 by 150?
150 each.
Yes,
sir.
according to this, 40 by 150 each,
Way shorter than
shortage of
half acre.
15,780 square feet. And I see this gentleman standing up back here. I know you didn't fill out any paperwork, but
This is Mr. Channing. He actually bond deeded the property. That's why you see two names on that request. The actual property owner is Miss Virginia, and Mr. Channing is making the request as a bond for deed purchaser.
all right, so you have any comments? I mean, I'll let you, even though you fill out paperwork, if you have any comments, I'll. Just try to make it brief, please.
Channing Garrett, 606 Campo Street, Hammond, Louisiana. I'm asking that this variance be granted because they have 3 existing trailers right there. They just had one put on 17, I want to say 1715 East Iowa Street. It was placed there about a month ago in the same subdivision. Also, they have another one that's on East Park Street that was put there about a month ago in the same subdivision as well. They call it a Woodland Subdivision Park, but I have 2 lots and I didn't know that both of them should have been joined as one for the space, but I'm asking that since it's my property, both lots, that this variance be granted.
Thanks for your comments.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll just remind everyone that the shortage is 15,780 for each of the lots, not just both of the lots combined, and it was not recommended by the planning commission. Mr. Wells, your district.
Well, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to Mr. Bynum, but I know that it was, that the planning commission turned it down. And then also, I know there was another one that was owned by Mr. Chris Dominique. I don't know if the council remember that, but it's pretty much along the same line, and the council had to turn that down also because it just wasn't enough area.
Mr. Wells, there's 2 lots here, and the 3 existing trailer lots are very
You need to get to the microphone, please.
Mr. Wells, the existing lots is 2 lots, but the 3 trailers next to it, lots are way smaller than that, and they have a trailer put on those. So I'm not understanding. I have the space. I'm at like 3.3, 0.4, and they asked them 0.5, but the last trailer is on my property still when I had it surveyed. So in actuality, I think I have the space with the 2 lots. It just, they're not seeing it.
Mr. Garrett, correct? You got
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of things have changed over time. We were just talking earlier about how much regulations have changed, and I hear you, but regulations have changed. And so there may be some trailers there on certain size lots that have been there for a long time, but over time, regulations have changed. So thanks for being here. Appreciate your input.
Right.
Any motion, Mr. Wells?
Well, I haven't really had a chance to talk to him. For the first time, I really didn't have an opportunity to go out and just kind of physically examine it myself, so if we could table it, I'd appreciate it, and then we'll bring it up into.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion tabled by Mr. Wells and a second by Mr. Forrest.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Okay, that item was tabled till the next meeting, yes. You go with that, Mr. Wells, till the next meeting? Okay. Item 25, introduction of TP ordinance 2325, an ordinance to geographically merge precincts and establish polling locations for Tangipahoa Parish. This is basically the follow-up from our demographer concerning the redistricting. We split, I think off the top of my head, 14 precincts. Okay, so it's affecting a lot of those lines. We got to redraw lines. We have to merge some precincts. We have to establish just descriptions of all of this, and that's been being worked on for the last, I guess, couple of months since we passed all this. We have to do a voter canvass on May the 16th, so we have a pretty tight deadline here because we have to get this to the registrar of voters ahead of that. And if we make any changes, we would have to have those written up. So anyway, that's the information I have. It's in your packet. Is it a perfect plan? No, but I mean, considering all the changes that we implemented to the system, this was the recommendations of the demographer. So, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Hyde is first. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Second by Mr. Joseph.
I was part of that meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes, again, before I vote, let me say to all of you, this is going to be a booger bear for us because we got a monster election coming up. I mean, a monster election. Parking is going to be your main issue. I'm serious, especially on the south end where we merge those precincts, David. I don't know how we're going to handle that. So I suggest that each council member take notes. The registrar's office take note, the clerk of court take notes, and immediately after the election, let's have an after-action review so we can find out what we did right, what we did wrong, what we can do to improve it. This is really going to be something. I'm telling you, with the presidential election too, the sheriff, all the council members, where are you going to park? We'll see.
Well, I know the clerk's office is planning on following up, and I think we have to get a lot of information out to people. I mean, you have Go Vote, and people need to really learn to go use that, okay? Because it tells you exactly, but everybody will be getting new voter registration, not everybody, but a number of people will be getting new voter registration cards. You redistrict every 10 years. I mean, it's
really not gonna be that bad.
You don't think so?
You don't think so?
Because every 10 years,
well,
we go through the same thing. We split 14, 15. 1 year we split 20.
Yeah.
So, the clerk's really good about, the registrar's really good about getting that information out early with an address.
Yeah.
So the people that actually go vote, but it's not gonna be a problem.
They're gonna get a new voter registration card in the
they'll
mail.
get a new
telling them-
registration card.
I hope you all are right. We'll see, but I think I'm right because
Now, parking's always.
at the
been-
last election, and they say was a lot of confusion. When you change a voting site, people 65, 70 years, I'm used to Miss Hyde being my commissioner. Now I got somebody new. I'm in the wrong place. Yeah. So just pay attention to what I said now and mark this down.
You need to just stop complaining.
Look, I also think, because of, there was some confusion in the last election with people thinking that they might be purged and really didn't know. There were some people who had to be turned around at the poll. So I think the thing is going to be publicity by our registrar and everybody else, because we got to get the word out that these precincts have changed.
Yes.
And you need to really check your cards and check your mail so everybody can be on task.
That's right.
The main thing is when you get it in the mail, look at it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good conversation to have tonight, and that's a conversation that needs to go forward. When you get your card, you need to look at it, you need to understand. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, or early vote.
That's about the best solution. Early vote is
a good solution.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates? Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yeah.
Okay, 10-0. All right, number 26, adoption of a resolution Tangipahoa Parish Council President Government to express support for our state legislators that represent Tangipahoa Parish and our support for the possible legislation that will be proposed in the 2023 Louisiana legislature concerning Lake Maurepas and the issue of carbon sequestration, which has been out there for a while now, and this is our support for those guys. We have a lot of confidence in our legislators, our representatives, and our senators to do the right thing for us when it comes to the impact on Lake Maurepas and the surrounding wetlands. So this is a resolution that we're going to send to all the state reps, state senators, and I think even federal, okay, that came from the, went to the Regulations Committee and is now being proposed here tonight. Their motion? You want to read it, Ms.?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
And just to say that I was actually at the state capitol today and spoke to both Representative Wheat and Representative Muscarella, and they both wanted to pass along their thanks for your consideration for this. So I'll make that motion.
All right. Ms. Coates is the first, and Mr. Mayhew was second, I believe, okay? Give me a roll call, please.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Okay, that
And
motion.
look, if y'all didn't see it, there was an article in the Morning Advocate this weekend where the state is requesting the EPA to turn over the control of that project to the Board of Natural Resources. So I think you kind of know where this is headed. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now we get down to board appointments. Number 27, Tangipahoa Parish Convention and Visitors Bureau, reappoint Brayville LeBlanc. Mr. Patel and Jessica Bennett to serve a second term expiring April 2026. Is there a motion? That was Ms. Hyde. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Coates is a second.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Carla, any comments there? Okay. 28, Planning Commission, reappoint Tracy House to serve a first term expiring March 2028, District 9, Ms. Hyde.
Yes, sir. I'll make that motion. She was filling an unexpired term.
Okay, first by Ms. Hyde, is there a second? Second by Mr. Mayhew, would you call roll, please?
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
All right, past 10, nothing. Number 29, Amite Area Recreation District Number 3, reappoint Brian B.T. Callahan to serve a first term expiring April 2027, and that's Mr. Joseph.
Yes, sir. And Brian is solid. Real good board member. I make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, first by Mr. Joseph and second by Mr. Forrest.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yes.
Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is Ponchola Rec District, new appointment, Kyle Mitchell to serve a first term expiring 2028. Ms. Hyde.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
First by Ms. Hyde, is there a second? Second came from Mr. Graffia. Call roll, please.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel? Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Okay, passes 10 to nothing. Number 31, Keep Tangy Beautiful appointments. New appointment, Michelle Legans to serve a first term expiring May 2025. That's District 9. It's Ms. Hydes. And reappoint Ramon Wheeler to serve a second term expiring May 2025. Mr. Mayhew, can we take those together? No objections. Can somebody make a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Hydes the first and Mr. Mayhew is the second. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel? Mr. Mayhew?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes. Okay, beer, wine, and liquor, we have one, Debut Inc., Quick Express, it's 12527 Ward Line Road. Mr. Mayu, I think that's your district.
Yes, in my district. I'm gonna make the motion, but I've questioned this before. It seems like every year and a half, they come in and change the ownership of this liquor license. And I don't know if that's something that's legal or can be looked into. I think I've spoke to council about it prior. It just seems odd that they keep switching it from one family member to another. So I'm gonna make the motion to grant it tonight, but I definitely want that looked into and see if there's any merit to them doing this so regularly. Because I think it's switched hands 4 or 5 times in just the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
First by Mr. Mayu, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rizzo. Would you call roll, please?
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Graffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Richtel?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Okay, any legal matters?
None this evening.
Okay. Mr. Bruno, any legal matters?
Nope.
Okay. Councilman privileges, I just have one. I'm going to mention that we talked about this earlier. The next community planning and design meeting is June the 7th here in Amite from 5:30 to 7. So I want to get that on the record. Any other councilman privileges?
I have a couple.
Okay.
We have an ordinance in place for these bicycle races or runs. They're usually 2 or 3 of them a year that go through the parish. And we passed an ordinance that they're supposed to put in the newspaper prior to the race, the route that they're going to take. There was one last week that they went through, and it caught everybody off guard. And, you know, when you're running through these rural areas, you got people hauling hay, tractors on the road. Saturdays is a cattle auction day, so there's trailers. It was a mess. And I don't get the Daily Star anymore, so I don't know if they are applying by the rule. But if we could check on that, and I think we have a list, Jill, of the races that I think it's MS has one, and there's like 3 or 4 of them. But if we can send them a letter and remind them of the ordinance, it's really just a simple thing that they have to do to notify people that the race is going to happen, because it's just like a log jam on these little back country roads. And they're usually 300 or 400 bicycles. It's a lot of them. So if we can check on that, I'd appreciate it, because I really don't know if they posted it or not. And then the other thing is, Robbie, have you heard anything on Eastern Heights as far as supplying the information to the water district?
I have not.
Okay. If it's okay, I'd like to maybe sit down with you and Joe sometime this week and see what our next action can be, because I think we've given them a pretty good much time to get this done.
I agree. Yes, we'll be glad to.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Hyde, and I think Mr. Mayu has something. Ms. Hyde first.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody about the Towers to Tunnels display that's coming in. It'll be coming in Wednesday. That's the 9/11, 9/11, I'm sorry, memorial. And it'll be set up at Strawberry Park in Ponchatoula, so I'd encourage y'all to come by sometime throughout the weekend. It'll be here through Sunday, Jimmy? Is that?
You want to come to the microphone, please?
Yeah, come
Jim?
give us a
Come
little
to the
more
microphone,
information
please.
about it.
So the procession was, Jimmy Sligemeyer, the procession will start at the state line here at Kentwood and proceed through the interstate all the way to Ponchatoula. It'll be Wednesday during the day. They'll proceed them and place them at the Strawberry parking lot there by City Hall and by Ponchatoula City Hall. The open procession is 2 o'clock Thursday, and everyone is welcome to come to the open procession. So if y'all available, please come by, and you can meet and greet with the guys that are that's actually gonna be there all weekend long. But it's gonna be open all weekend long from that point on, and we'll actually have the guys that's putting on the exhibit that will be in the parade route in the parade Saturday.
Okay. Thank you, Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate the info.
Thank you.
Ms. Hyde, anything else?
No, sir.
Mr. Mayu.
I had an opportunity to meet with CN Railroad last week, two of the main head executives, and I stressed to them about LA 40 and about Minnesota Park also.
I just went over that one today.
You did? Yeah, and I sent them both pictures again, because I think I've sent them in before, and they told me that they're going to get right on it and try to get them quick as they can. And as far as I know, I think they've got the grass cut, have they, over in the Independence area? And area,
It's nice.
and sprayed. So they told me they're gonna stay on top of this, so I'll keep everybody posted on what's going on with the railroad.
All righty.
That's good.
Any other councilman privileges?
One thing. April 22nd, Love the Boot. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kim. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Well, I was going to be next, but, so yes, so Love the Boot Week, April 22nd, and we're having the meetup in La Ranja.
Right.
So, yeah, if everybody can sign up to volunteer for that. It's a big deal, all the way across the state.
Oh, that's right. All over the state.
And then on the following weekend, the 29th, we're gonna have the Man Shack cleanup. So we're gonna have two good weekends in a row. So,
All right.
Thank
Anything
you.
else, Ms. Coates?
nope, that'll be all.
Any other one from the council? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Wells.
Please give me a motion to adjourn, someone. So move.
I'll second.
No objections? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.